Good afternoon, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitchhiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're ready for some backroad stuff, small towns. Here in kind of southeastern North Carolina, we are going to be making our way westerly up to I-95 area. There's a little town up there called Rowland. We're going to head up that way, but first I want to start our vlog off right here in Chadbourn area, and then from there we're going to go to Bluff, which is a town that I actually visited last year, but somebody told me I ought to go back there and check it out again and kind of do an update. And if you did not watch the Bluff video, it was very interesting because it was a town that was decimated. The population was down to almost, 400 people living there. You know, because it got struck 2 times within like 2 years of major hurricanes here on the eastern seaboard of North Carolina. So it flooded. That was the big problem. The whole downtown area flooded. And last time I was there, all the buildings were pretty much ghost town. I mean, it was like everything was empty. I went inside some of the abandoned buildings. They was in really tough shape. But the reason for it was because of the flooding of that downtown area. So somebody told me in the comments not too long ago, you ought to go back and check it out. It's changed a lot. Whatever that means, I don't know, but we're going to find out today. All that being said, thanks for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get started. And of course, in my travels, anytime I can find an old gas station with these analog style pumps, no credit cards needed here. This is the old pumps where you used to have to go inside and pay for your gas and then come out here and pump, or vice versa. But yeah. This place must have still been open after 2020, yo. It couldn't have been shut down that long because of this poster right here on the window. Kind of tells the story, because this young lady right here has a mask on, so it would have been after 2020. So in the last few years, this old gas station right here called it quits. And as you can see inside, there's not a lot left. Everything is pretty much been moved out, except some of the shelving. And right here next to this abandoned gas station that I'm at is a car wash next door that says Strawberry Town Car Wash. And I'm going to get into a little bit of the history about the town to let you know why they call this Strawberry Town. Okay, I've made my way into the downtown area here in Chadbourn, North Carolina. The town itself was incorporated in 1883, and it was originally called Timberville. Okay, so some of the streets looks like this. It's very quiet, very desolate, not a lot going on, kind of looks abandoned. Then as I show you this really awesome mural they have right here of this train. And then you have this road. It's called North Brown Street, and I'm here on the corner of First Ave and North Brown Street. This main street that rides through the center of town is a hustling and bustling place. I mean, it's just ongoing traffic. Ever since I got in town, this is what it looks like. It is absolutely wild and crazy how many folk just passes through. Don't know where they're coming from, but it is a lot of people driving through this town to make it over to, I guess, Highway 74 to either go to Wilmington or make their way up toward Lumberton or whatnot. But very interesting. But as I was saying earlier, the town was known as Timberville at one time. And it got the name Chadbourn from the Chadbourn Lumber Company. And its founder was called Captain James A. Chadbourn Jr. And in the late 1800s, the area that would become Chadbourn was largely forested and undeveloped here in the area. And as I talk, I'm just going to kind of show you some of the surroundings as we walk through the main part of town here. And the Chadbourn Lumber Company, based out of Wilmington, North Carolina, was heavily involved in timber and railroad industries. So around 1882, Captain J. Chadbourn helped establish the railroad line through the western Columbus County area, which made it possible to move lumber and other like agricultural goods more efficiently through the state of North Carolina. Then a settlement grew around the company's sawmill and railroad stop, and it became known as Chadbourn in honor of the company and its founder. So The town was later incorporated in 1883, and the rest is history. And I just cannot get over how much traffic is passing through here. Now, I found this to be kind of fascinating right here next to Deborah Kay's beauty salon. Looks like there used to be some type of a building structure that filled this location, but has long been removed. And the weird thing is, the only thing that is left is this pile of bricks stacked also neatly right here in this location. How bizarre is that? But you can definitely see where there used to be a structure here. It's long been removed. And then it looks like right across the road, at one time there was buildings over there too, and they've been removed, at least here in the last several years. I think it's safe to say a lot of demolition has been going on here in the town, over here close to the railroad tracks especially, because you can just see where buildings used to be. And this one here still has like partial door and the windows left behind. And you can see the concrete flooring, the pad where this building used to sit. I think this would be a good moment to talk a little bit about the income for people that lives here in Chadbourn. So the income per capita is about $15,509 a year, which is not a lot. And then when you look at the median household income, you're talking about $23,750. Now, the state of North Carolina itself averages about $48,256, so less than half. That ought to give you a good idea of financially how the times are here in this town. And look at this building right here, man. Got an old sign holder up there, but it's another abandoned building, all boarded up. I think this is definitely a thing you can see a lot of as you walk around this downtown area. I'm noticing a lot of boarded up stuff in abandoned places. Okay, I've made my way over here to the old train depot here in the town. This depot was built in 1910, and it was built for the Atlantic Coast Line Railroad. And it is now the Chadbourn Depot Railroad Museum. So you can see they have a red caboose right over here. Let's go over here and check this out real quick. Atlantic Coast Line. It says Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. I guess that was all the states that the line used to run to. But it's kind of hidden back here. I almost missed this place. If I wouldn't have known about the depot before I arrived in town, I probably would have missed it altogether, because I have a lot of trees that kind of skirts around this place and kind of hides it a little bit. But I thought it was anytime I come to Old Town, I always want to show railroad depots. I think it's kind of important to do. So always, these old depots right here, it was built in the early 1900s in these towns, man. This was the lifeline. This is what made them grow, so it's always important to show them. And that's an old place right there. Everybody stayed there for quite some time. So there's something else I want to talk to you about real quick as we're here in the downtown area. When we first got into town, we seen that car wash, and it said Strawberry on it, Strawberry Town. The reason that said Strawberry Town is because, see, Chadbourn, if you didn't know, because I didn't know, is actually the strawberry capital of the Carolinas. Since 1926, the town has hosted the North Carolina Strawberry Festival, which is the oldest continuing like agricultural festival in the Carolinas. So little did I know that. So you always learn a little bit something when you travel outside of your normal boundaries and reach out to some of these little small communities and learn a little bit about who they are, which I think is really awesome, a lot of fun. And as you walk down the main thoroughfare here in town where all the traffic is, That is Cindy's Country Kitchen. As you can see, she's got some strawberries up there on her sign. And I'm noticing right here in town, you can see a lot of strawberries like painted on windows, on a lot of the businesses. Don't know if they're open anymore. Doesn't much look like it, but sorry about all this traffic. It is crazy. But if you wanted to know kind of what the Strawberry Festival has in store for you, the festival features parades, pageants, concerts, and plenty of local strawberry treats. So if you're ever in town when the Strawberry Festival goes on, definitely stop in and see what that's all about. It's been going on a really long time. You know, almost 100 years now, 1926 to now, so next year will be its 100-year anniversary. And I wonder if they'd do anything a little special for that 100-year anniversary. So I thought this building right here was very interesting looking because the front of it is still intact, but the innards have been completely removed along with the roof, and they've got it like gated. It's so bizarre. They got a couple like wreaths kind of sitting here. It's almost like it was a celebration or a place of remembrance. Very bizarre. Okay, I think that right there is going to pretty much do it for the town. Let's get in the truck and drive toward Fair Bluff next. I can't wait to see what awaits around the corner there, because some people claim that it changed quite a bit since I was there last. But we'll see when we get there. Okay, I've made my way into the small town of Fair Bluff, North Carolina. And whoever it was in my comments or sent me an email a while back, maybe a month or so ago, about you need to return. As you can see, they were not kidding, because look behind me. That used to be a small town, buildings, everything. This area here was already demolished. So this is still the same, but directly across the road, as you see over there on that street corner, and you see the old city lights, that right there was all businesses. Now, if you did not know, this town endured 2 back-to-back hurricanes, more or less, within about 2 years time period. So Hurricane Matthew, I think, come through in 2016, flooded the area, did a lot of damage. They was in the process of rebuilding. And then, lo and behold, Hurricane Florence shows up in 2018, which I remember very well because I own property in Carolina Beach. And that storm stalled out and dumped massive amounts of water on the East Coast, Southeast, especially here in North Carolina. And the Lumber River is just right here, and it come over the banks and flooded the area again. Probably put about, I don't know, 8 foot of water in some of the pictures that I seen, you know, watching how far they went up these like lamp posts, like you see right here. So this area was devastated. And when I was here about 9 months ago, or within the last year, I don't know exactly what date I was when I was here, but it was like everything was gutted, or just the doors were open. There was still like a mildewy smell in all these structures, these buildings right here that I'm walking across the street to kind of show you where they used to be. Yeah, this area here was decimated. All these buildings have now been removed. And my goodness, a lot happened in the last while. Look, they still have a little plaque down here in memory of Mr. and Mrs. M.S. Turner and Mr. and Mrs. B.J. Brady. Have no idea, but maybe they were a part of this business right here or something. That's the reason that plaque was put there. Who knows? But that is so crazy. So I walked down the street a little bit further, and sure enough, all these buildings have been removed also. And the only structure that is still hanging in there strong is the United States Post Office. So when you look at the town from a, historical population breakdown, in 1940, there was about 970 people here. Into the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, right around 1,000 to 1,100. And it peaked out around the year 2000 at 1,181. And then it just started slowly dropping. And by 2020, it was down to 709 souls lived here in the town of Fair Bluff. Now, when you think of your peak population being 1,100 people, and then your lowest decline being around 700, that is quite a drop off, but it's not like mind-boggling, right? But if you look online a little bit more and dig a little bit deeper, some estimates today, here in 2025, some people claim it might be closer to 500 or even 400. So, but when you see the decimated downtown area like this, and you see all these businesses just deleted, like the town was never even here other than the post office right here across the street being left behind, might be plausible. Could be. Okay. Didn't want to spend too much time here today. I did want to come by and just kind of document the change here in Fair Bluff, North Carolina. If you're interested in seeing my other vlog of Fair Bluff, give me a break. When I was here last time, I had just watched some wrestling specials about Ric Flair, and I did not recognize it until I got home. I was saying Flair Bluff, like F-L-A-I-R. That was so embarrassing, but it is what it is. That's me sometime. But I did want to make sure that I point that out. If you do watch the old video, just know that I know I said Flair, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you know, like, woo, Ric Flair, baby. But anyway, didn't mean to disrespect anybody, you know, their town's name or anything like that. But yeah, good little visit to Fair Bluff today. So let's go ahead and go up the road a little bit further to our next town. Really excited to go there. This is a town that I have read in my comments quite a few times. You need to go check this old town out. If you like old towns, you need to go check this one out. So let's head in that direction. It's close to I-95. It's close to south of the border, even though we will not be venturing in over to South Carolina. But looking forward to this one. It's going to be good. By the way, man, good to have you here today. This is going to be a good one, I think. All right, we have made our way to the town of Rowland, North Carolina, and we're going to start things off with the awesome Coke mural, which I like this one a lot because it's not just the word Coke painted on the wall. It's actually a 6-pack of bottled Coke, which I think always tastes the best. That is really, really cool. So just to give you a little idea about the town of Rowland, very interesting little town as I've just made it here, but population is about 1,130, and the median age is quite old in this town. About 51 years of age. Very interesting looking buildings right here in the town, especially this one. I find that one very extra fascinating. But just like some of the other places we've seen today, you have this going on where it's just like some of the buildings has just been removed, maybe from fire damage or something. So just to give you a little backstory about Rowland, a post office opened here in 1888, and then the town was incorporated in 1889, and the town was named after a man by the name of Alfred Rowland. He was a lawyer, a Civil War veteran, and a U.S. representative from North Carolina. Okay, I'm standing here at the corner of West Main Street and Railroad Street, which Railroad Street is a very fitting name, seeing the railroad runs right down smack dab through the middle of town. And right here is the old Rowland Depot. This historic depot was built in 1925 by the Atlantic Coast Line Railroad and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Now, as I walk around this old railroad depot, Rowland made all of its money and got all of its growth back in the early 1900s from the tobacco industry. And it played a key role, and the town served as the regional market for tobacco production. And until the sector declined in 1970s, that was a big part of the money making for this very town. It's all tobacco. And you know what? It is very easy to see that, because when I was driving over here from Fair Bluff, I seen a lot of fields, but now it's not tobacco in those fields, it's a lot of cotton. Okay, I made my way around here to the back side of the old train depot. It's just right here off to the left. But anytime I come to these old towns and I have a chance to put an old train caboose on the screen, I will definitely do so. Growing up, I always enjoyed trains. And I had like model trains in the house, train sets I would get for Christmas. I don't know if young folk really do that anymore, really. I'm sure they got other gadgets and stuff, electronics. It's way cooler than the train sets that I used to play with, but oh, that's why I always like to show stuff like that, you know. That is definitely yesteryear. You don't need stuff like that no more, you know. Passenger trains are very, very modern this day and time. Heck, you can sleep in them and stuff like that. Back in the day, man, just think, you just fit a few people in that caboose and that was it. But it used to be a TV show. I don't know if you guys remember it or not, but it was called Silver Spoons. I think Ricky Schroeder was the young boy that starred in the show, and I used to love watching that show. Not because I cared what the plot was, I was really young, but I just enjoyed that show because him and his dad had a train in their house that they could ride, you know? It was so awesome. It reminded me of Walt Disney. Walt Disney actually was a big train fanatic, and he would have a train on his property at his place. So I was always really fascinated with trains, especially when I would watch Silver Spoons. It made me want to go play with my little train, even though I couldn't ride mine like they did theirs. But anywho, that's where all that little love come from. Silver Spoons back in the 80s. All right, I made my way over here to Main Street. Wanted to show you some of the old buildings here. They really do look in pretty rough shape. A lot of abandoned buildings. Looking very rough for wear, that's for sure. But here in the historic district area, obviously we just looked at the Rowland train depot, which was built in 1925. These other buildings here in this area seem to be built between 1891 and 1954. So definitely they have a lot of age here in the downtown area in Rowland. And this right here is quite interesting looking. Don't really know what the heck this used to be. They definitely have like a wagon wheel type of theme going on. Like, I'm looking at these designs and this. Maybe it was a table, not really sure. Had some picnic tables out here. So maybe this was definitely some kind of a food location at one time. It's just got a very interesting design to it. And this right here kind of reminds me of a moonshine still a little bit, you know. I don't know, I'm from the mountainous areas. And I had a grandpa that actually was, yeah, he went to jail for making liquor back in the day, but in his defense, if he wouldn't have made that liquor, he would have never had anything, not enough money to buy a farm or nothing. It was very poor people. And my mom has told me a lot of stories about our beginnings back in the 40s and 50s, how hard it really was. But speaking of how hard things are, I thought I would talk to you a little bit about the household incomes here in Rowland, just to paint you a little bit of a picture. So the median household income here in Rowland is about $23,000. Not a lot of money. Because if you compare that to North Carolina, the average is $48,256, and then the national average is $55,322. So yeah, that's pretty wild. The poverty rate here in the town of Rowland is 24.3%. North Carolina is 16.8%, and national average is about 15%. So a little high there. Not as high as some of the other places I've seen in the past, but still, nonetheless, it's pretty high. Okay, so next up, let's talk about crime. The violent crime rate is approximately 5.5 per 1,000 residents per year. The overall crime rate is about 53.8 crime per 1,000 residents, which equals out to be about 1 in 19 people. 1 in 19 people will cause a crime or commit a crime in 1 year. All right, now I just wanted to take a moment just to drive around town a little bit and look at some of these old homes. So interesting. You have some really nice homes, and then right next to it, you'll have an old home like this. Look how growed up, all that vegetation. It's just really taking over that property. That is one spooky looking place, that's for sure. And it seems like it is for sale. As you can see right there is a for sale sign. I bet one time that was a really nice property. Look at that old property. Windows missing. It says no trespassing. Look at this place right here. Definitely trimming off some of the wood outside, but man, look at that old place. I bet that was a really beautiful place at one time here in the town of Rowland. And right next door, that one there is actually starting to fall in on itself, it looks like. Okay, I'm right here on Highway 130 now. And this is leaving the town of Rowland. And I wanted to show you this placard right here before we wrap up our vlog today. And I think this is pretty important spot. The town was kind of born out of this church right here, Ashpole Church. It says Union Center of Worship, originally 2.5 miles northwest. It says Presbyterians withdrew in 1796 and organized their own church here in this area in 1860, building about 300 yards west. So one thing that I found that was very fascinating about this church when I was reading about it is it served both the Union and the Confederate soldiers during the Civil War. So I just thought that was really cool. And I would imagine not at the same time, but I just thought it was fascinating. The church both welcomed Union soldiers and Confederate soldiers in their holy grounds for worship. Thought that was pretty interesting. So as I stand here in front of this old service station, I imagine it was a service station. It looks like there may be some gas pumps or something right there at one time. This old blue building. Roof looking a little rough for wear, that's for sure. I just wanted to go ahead and say thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video, looking at some of these old small town communities kind of hidden in the nooks and crannies on the back roads off the main highway here in southeastern part of North Carolina. Obviously, Rowland is very close to I-95, so we're not technically east right now. We're more in the Piedmont area, but just wanted to come up here and check this place out. It was definitely worth the drive. I hope you guys enjoyed it as always. Until next time, friends, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. Y'all stay safe, and I hope to see you all again soon. And this highway here that goes through Rowland, it's a busy place. I've seen some very low populated areas today that didn't have a lot of businesses. But this is not an interstate, but there is a lot of traffic that runs through these towns. And and a lot of these old southern towns, man, when you see them all abandoned and stuff, they're abandoned because the interstates were built and it took all the traffic away from them. But I'm gonna tell you something, Chadbourn, Rowland, still a lot of traffic goes through those towns. So don't really understand why they're so decimated. A lot of movement. All right, I'm really done now. Thank you so much. See you in my next adventure. Y'all stay safe.